Boop, boop, boop. Chicka, 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 cow. That's my chicken impression.
Just curious, what level of antagonism would you prefer?
I mean, you go as fucking hard as you want to, I guess. I kick my phone off of put it on silent here.
See, that's your first mistake.
Oh, you know what my first mistake was? I didn't unplug my fridge.
Oh, boy.
What kind of fucking Mickey Mouse operation are we running in this motherfucker? Coming in with a strong, false high energy today.
All right.
It's gonna let you fake it till I make it. Like I'm ready to go, and I'm fucking pumped, and I'm jazzed, and I woke up today ready to fucking record a podcast. Like a goddamn professional.
Well, I will be the yang.
Thank you. Thank you for your sacrifice. All right.
You tell me.
Welcome to the Trash Cats Trashcast. I'm Richard.
I'm Steven.
Today we got some shit to talk about.
Terrible. That was fucking terrible. What are we talking about?
I just realized I didn't write a prompt out before I started talking.
You sure did not. I thought you were a professional today.
Oh, you're right. You're right. I did say I was going to come in with the full professional energy.
You're just giving false flags? What is this, red herrings to start a podcast? Jesus.
So,
very unprofessional.
Hey, right now, smash that like button. Like and subscribe.
You know what? Podcasts are for old people now.
Yeah, sure.
We're outdated.
Welcome to the Trashcast. Welcome to the Trash Cats Trashcast. I'm Richard.
I'm Steven.
And where's your brilliant fucking idea?
Oh my.
Welcome to the Trash Cats Trashcast. I'm Richard.
I'm Steven.
And the world is a dumpster fire, and we're just the raccoons inside trying to keep warm.
Just trying to stay toasty. Little marshmallows.
Yeah, you get the hot cocoa going, the hot garbage juice tea.
Ooh, I love hot cocoa. And marshmallows. Do you burn your marshmallows?
Burn my marshmallows?
Yeah. Like
making a s'more kind of thing? Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. I'll make two. I'll make one that's like perfect and like golden, crispy, and like that's the one I use that for a s'more, right? And then like I'll put another one over, and like that one's gonna be charcoal.
So you can get
and
that
one's
first.
Just a special treat for your boy.
That one's to hold you over till the other one's done toasting, right?
No, that one's the one I have afterward. That's the one that like I know from my childhood.
What?
And that's the one that's like I like that flavor. I like that burnt.
Interesting. I burned that first one right off the bat. Pull the crust skin off and get that mushing in while I slowly toast the other one. That way they're rapid fire.
Can I tell you, Steven? That sounds like addict behavior to
me.
Oh,
I know, dude. And then I line up like 18 more marshmallows slowly turning, and it's just like bam, 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 bam.
You got a full rotisserie spit going over the grill.
Sometimes I just put them all in a pot and let them all melt down and make a little marshmallow smoothie for myself.
Have you ever made s'mores in a microwave?
Yeah, that's strange territory.
It is, but man, it works.
It does. It does.
You won't need more than a couple seconds, folks. Be careful. Keep an eye on it. Don't walk away from your microwave with a marshmallow in there.
It's risky business. What?
It is.
Speaking of risky business, there's been a lot of crazy shit going on this week. But first, how's your week?
It's been good. Depression's been kicking my ass a little bit.
So the same thing last week. What the fuck's going on?
I don't know, man. It's like it's not like bad. It's not like I've gone through the way worse than this. It's just like I think it's also because right now work's picking up a lot, so like most of my energy is going towards that. So I don't have energy at home. Mm-hmm. So I think that's exacerbating it a bit.
Sounds apathetic.
Sorry?
Sound apathetic.
Yeah, mostly.
Interesting.
I mean, it's mostly geared towards me and my own self, though. Like, usually when I have, like, when it's, like, full swing shit, like, I don't fucking care about it. Like, nothing really moves me a lot, and everything kind of seems like a burden, but, like, my priorities are, right now at least, like, work and, like, the people I work with and, like, making sure, like, their shit, like, I will go out of my way to, like, update someone's schedule or, like, fix someone's, like, hours or whatever and you know, on my day off. But I'm having trouble granting myself that same, like, go out of my way a little bit to do something for me.
Well, I think we're going to explore that a bit today. So
yeah.
If we're going to do it, I say we go all in. We're going to get nutso.
Well, I mean, that's how my week's been. How's yours?
It's okay. Same bullshit. Same soup, warmed up. You know. Just dreaming of going to war and doing drugs. You know.
The huge.
Before we get into it, I got a couple interesting news arts stories.
Oh, please do share.
Did you see the new AI Drake song?
No.
It was Drake featuring The Weeknd. If you hadn't heard their music recently, it is completely convincible.
Wow.
Like, it's matching styles and pronunciation and very well. I mean, it's definitely, there's a lot of human artistry going into making it sound as good, but it was fully convincing to a lot of people. And there's an interesting thing where now all the music platforms have taken it off. Like, it's not allowed on Spotify or YouTube anymore because it breaks copyright. Because you're stealing an artist's sound at this point by using their voice.
Huh. That's pretty wild.
It's problematic.
I don't know much about either one of them's work besides, like, of course, I've heard, like, the hit songs that, like, you can't get away from.
Yeah, one sucks in a fake gangster way, and the other one sucks in a shitty R&B way.
Yeah.
And I won't tell you which one's which.
You know which ones. Yeah. The thing is, like, I feel like it's pop music, right? Like, it's made to be formulaic, and so, like, that makes sense that they're able to do that.
No, because The Weeknd is very asymmetrical, kind of abnormal singing, and Drake, the verse sounds like any given rap verse. So, like, for example, someone also this week, the other one I was going to mention is somebody did a Biggie verse. They put, I forget the name of the producer. He's like a fairly well-known old school rapper, producer. And he was like, I always wanted to do a song with Biggie, so I finally did one, and it happened today. And it's a verse featuring Biggie, and it sounds like Biggie Smalls.
Oh, shit.
So now we're bringing back rappers from the dead type shit. It's just like the Tupac holograms. Now we got Biggie verses, and this is something we're going to see a lot of.
Oh, man. Just think, that means our podcast could live on forever if we had the money and the people who have the excitement to do that.
I know one YouTube news show that is doing that. They're having ChatGPT and fans helping write the scripts, and then they're getting the AI bots to produce infinite shows for them. Really interesting. So we got some of that going on. And then, there's been all these murders and shootings and all kinds of crazy stuff this week. But
yeah, what was the number? It's like
11 yesterday, and then we had 11 in the last week as of yesterday, and then we had a couple new ones.
It's like 200, and it's more than one a day for just this year.
Yeah, but no one gives a fuck. And it's a lot of fake outrage.
Apparently not.
No. But I think part of what we're probably going to get into today, we'll touch on that a bit. So I thought I'd mention it, but we don't have to go into it. The other two big politics stories that is not, well, three, I guess, that aren't getting enough attention right now is, but, the most known one is the Trump rape civil trial, right? I just saw
Yeah, I heard a little bit on that. I didn't like. So like he wasn't convicted of rape.
It's a civil trial, so it's a lawsuit.
Okay.
And the level of proof for that is not that it's beyond a reasonable doubt, but that it is more likely than not that it occurred, and you're being sued by the other person for him saying it did not happen to her.
Got it.
So she just won today, and she gets $5 million. But his defense, and there's video of it now that's going on, it was on Fox News today, is him saying, I would never rape her. She's not my type. She's too ugly. And then he says to the lawyer recording this, and for what it's worth, I wouldn't do it to you either. And then they ask him to point out the woman in a photo, and he, with the defense of she's too ugly to fuck, he points to his wife, his ex-wife instead.
I thought it was he pointed to the woman, but he thought it was his ex-wife in the picture. That's
he pointed to his wife, his ex-wife, thinking that was her. Or I could have it mistaken, but yeah,
I thought it was the way that like they were like, can you identify these people? And he's like, that's my ex-wife, and they were like, no, that's not. That's E. Jean Carroll,
maybe.
And he was like, oh. It's blurry. I can't tell.
Yeah, very, very embarrassing defense. But so that's the one that's getting the most attention, which is still probably not enough for how big of a deal that is, especially when he's got New York coming after him this week also, and a couple new cases as well. Did you see the Clarence Thomas? Our Supreme Court judges are busted taking illegal bribes and money, basically.
Yeah. So I don't know the newest updates on that, I guess. I know that they've been caught not,
Well, Clarence has been one of the most, fundamental, Republican upholders for the Supreme Court. I mean, he's done, so much fucking damage. So he's been gifted properties by this Republican billionaire donor, and then they just found out, I believe yesterday, his daughter's private school was being paid to the tune of $6,000 a month by this person as well.
Wow.
And he had already lied and said he had not accepted money in any form from this person. So they're finding increasing evidence as they're going through his finances that Supreme Court justice is completely compromised, and I believe they identified a second judge that was taking money on the Supreme Court.
Cool.
So you cannot understate how big of a deal that is.
Yeah, but that's in our entire fucking judicial system.
In the same week, dude, there was just a new report out about generals and military members at the top of the Pentagon, and the former head of the NSA was just caught taking $700,000 worth of payment from contracts he made with Saudi Arabia. And this was after the Jamal Khashoggi slaying, in which our government really failed to act as a whole. We still have our top, intelligence leaders taking money from Saudi Arabia. I know that's never going to be the sexy news story or whatever, but it just, when our Supreme Court judges and our top military generals, officials, military, intelligence leaders, all of these people are dirty as fuck. It's just, I don't know. It seems crazy that's not a bigger deal than it is.
Yeah. It's embarrassing, and it's it reaffirms why it's so hard to feel proud to be American.
Well, think of imagine arguing with a high schooler today and being like, you have to vote, you have to care about freedom and being a part of your country. And then it's these are the news stories every week. How the fuck do you try to participate and believe in a system that constantly is proving how unjust things are at the highest levels? It's not the local, Cincinnati, the last 5 years, they got caught stealing billions of dollars worth of shit. the whole city council was doing backroom deals, and they stole all of our money. And now we got to fund shit to do the plumbing and water shit all over again. And then you look at the national leaders, and it's the same shit. It's just, I don't know. It's difficult. I would have trouble trying to convince, like, how I was as a teenager, like, so fucking angry and apathetic. There's no way I would be able to convince myself why to fucking care, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, honestly, even, like, to myself now it's like, the biggest argument that I can make for it is, like, if you gotta have faith in something, or what's it all worth?
I don't think you do, though, and I don't.
I mean, like, you gotta try, or like to feel like you're doing something, or you know.
I don't know, man. I mean, we've gone back and forth. It depends on how depressed or angry I am each week, but I've gone. I mean, I've pretty much always been pretty fucking like doom pilled. Like I don't really. I feel like you go through with the actions, but you don't have to believe any of it's worthwhile. Right. Yeah. Yeah. I feel like the bigger thing for me is like, if I can convince, it's almost like a religion in the way, like if I can convince myself that this means something, then I feel a little bit better about my day. But isn't that
like I tried?
Isn't that inherently dangerous? Like you even what
for sure it is.
But what you're relating it to is something you are vehemently against. So wouldn't there be a better way to mentally approach that?
I could kill myself.
Or
or try to join politics. I would be the other one.
Or I meant more in the sense of like trying to convince yourself to believe things are worthwhile, but more like, you know, the absurdist or nihilist of like, I know it's not worthwhile, but this is what I do. You know what I mean?
I feel like there's the logical fallacy with that. That's like,
well, that's there either way.
If I know it's not worthwhile, then why am I doing it?
But that's there. Well, I guess you're saying that you wouldn't feel that way as long as you convince
I convince myself that it's at least worth it to try.
I've kind of gotten into a weird place because I think in general, I don't think I believe it is, like as an overall, like not just voting or like depression or whatever. I think overall, I don't really believe it is worth it, but I feel like I have to, or like I've resigned myself to trying, where previously it was so much easier not to try, and I've kind of like decided I'm gonna try for a while. And I don't really believe in it, but that's just what I'm gonna do for now.
So why do you think you feel like you have to?
Because I think a lot of it is like animal shit. Like, because realistically I was gonna die or go hungry.
Mm-hmm.
And then
it's like you know, like you're a rat in a box, and you know you're probably not going to be able to claw out the wall, but you're going to try anyways.
The walls got too steep, and I was getting hungry. So there's got to be another way, even if I don't believe in that way or believe what I'm doing is worthwhile. It's just like survival shit, right?
Yeah.
So like if you have to play the trick to make yourself believe some things are worthwhile, even if you have like the gnawing feeling it's not, but that gets you through time. That's a survival instinct, and that could be a good thing.
That I can say that's you know, it more for your mental health than it is for anything.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that it's like,
but I feel like there's a better approach than that specific approach, because I feel like anytime you have to convince yourself of something you don't feel, there's always going to be a cognitive dissonance at some point that you can't make that bridge. Not with you specifically. I'm just in general.
I guess it's not so much that I'm convincing myself of something that I don't feel. It's that it's more of is I feel it, but I feel like more that like my mind wanders in the way that like it's almost like I'm more trying to convince myself that it's not, that it doesn't work, and that it's the, I feel like the logical side of my brain is like all of the corruption you see would make you believe, should lead you to believe that, this isn't as it appears. But because there isn't another option, it feels more responsible to try to take part in at least making, putting my word out into, the void through my vote, whatever. Where even if it's not being counted or doesn't matter, that at least I can feel like I tried.
Yeah, and I think that's generally where, like, if we're thinking clearly or doing fine, like, that's where we both will land or have landed. But I think I really don't care either. And I think in general, I'm probably struggling with a lot of that irregardless. So the minutia of things we're told we're supposed to do or like good for the greater good, I'm not super interested in or invested in right now. And that kind of comes and goes in waves, but I think the argument of like you're really supposed to do those things, like you're supposed to. Vote's the easy one for us to keep falling back to as an example, but like you're supposed to be good to other people. You're supposed to not litter. You're supposed to participate in liberty, whatever the fuck, or protect other people or their values that you care about. Well, I will always land that you should, and like I'm super adverse to like watching the bigger person hurt a smaller person, right? But as like a general thing, I don't know if there's really that much of a reason we should care that much about those. Like, I feel like caring about the ideal is really important, but caring about the day-to-day shit is, like, completely irrelevant.
I think it is and it isn't. I think that reminds me of the argument of, like...
Did the kids die on the way to school? Do we care? Yeah.
Well, not even that. I was just thinking, like, the thing with, like, recycling and, like, being more conscious of, your waste and whatever. Like, if every single person on the planet suddenly became very conscious and very active, like, it could make a difference. But the problem is, it doesn't work. Like, not everyone's doing everything all at once. So to your actions, do you separating the recycling and, getting, your compostable things and using reusable stuff as much as possible, like, does that really make the difference?
See,
if no one else does it, or it seems like no one else is doing it.
I understand that point of view, and we've definitely played with that before, but I can't even get my head around the idea of like, why the fuck should we care about planet Earth or other people? Like, why the fuck should I give a fuck if the Earth is here or not?
I think this is another fine, a wonderful optimist versus pessimist thing that we.
But I don't think. But you're not because you're a weak optimist right now. You're vulnerable. You're fragile.
You don't know that.
No, I know you're not feeling super pepped up about life right now. I'm not.
Right. Yeah. What I would say though, I feel this way generally, anyways. Even in my more, pepped up as you refer to it. Even in my more pepped up
call
state.
Me Peppa the Peppa.
Even when I'm more excited about life, what I feel is it's not so much that I have this driving hope that the world is going to be better one day. It's more like I can envision it in my head, and it's not that it's impossible. It's not that I feel like it's impossible to achieve. I definitely feel like it's against all odds. But, if we can just try.
Why do you believe it's possible? I think you're wrong, and I think you don't actually believe that.
That I don't think it's possible?
I think you're deceiving yourself to believe it's possible. It's simply on the basis of what we've established in before with our hallway theory is what percentage of people do you think are good? Because based on your previous answers, I don't see how you could ever believe the world is going to be a good place.
Honestly, I don't know either, but I do feel that way. I can't, at least not in this moment, I can't rationally justify it to you. I don't really have the words at my ready to do so. But what I can say is that I do typically feel like, even if it's on a small, individual conversation level or just a small interaction between two people, like someone holding the door open for or someone holds the door open for you, and it's just or someone says something to you and you have a little talk back and forth or something. Those are like the little moments where it's like, it didn't really even make my day better. It didn't make the world a better place by far, but like, it's just, those are the little things that I feel like there are other people here that aren't out for blood all the time. And that makes me think that, maybe.
I hate that.
Yeah, I know you do, you fucking sicko. I was just thinking about this the other day. I was re-listening to it not the prison convictions on Rap Lyrics one, the one before that, when we were kind of like precursor amble talking about it. Mm-hmm. And you said, you were like, the song "Fuck the Police," it's like a disgrace. They were playing the show and the cops were there and they were having a good time, and like everyone was having a good time. And it's like, what instead, I feel like the perspective you're putting on it, while I don't think is completely irrational, I think it's just a different perspective. I think the perspective that I would look at that in after listening to you say that, out of the conversation aspect, I thought, what that means is, to me in my head, is where we've gone from. This was like they were trying to ban this before, and how far we've come since then.
No, what I see is a group of rappers who completely lost their message, that just completely took the money and gave up all ideals of what they believed in. And that
how did they lose their ideals?
Because they're enjoying it. They're still touring this shit, making millions of dollars and enjoying the cops protecting them. Like it's so antithetical to what it was. And now we have a crowd of people who don't feel what the intention was at all just enjoying something it wasn't meant to be. And everyone's making money. It's just so fucking gross.
I feel like there's a little bit of hater in there.
Absolutely, but if I'm writing songs about killing cops and then cops are doing my security at a show, you're a piece of shit. Right?
I mean,
like, you're just making money for entertainment.
Yeah.
That's stupid.
The rappers.
That's stupid. I don't want to listen to rappers. I want to listen to people who care about what they're saying.
So this would be the argument that I would make. So if the artist has a choice to, I can make a career out of I can make more of the thing that I enjoy to make, but I have to make money doing it. When they take money for doing that, does that make the art less value? Does that make their word
not at all less? Not inherently. There's nothing wrong with making money off your craft, but you can't tell me.
So where does it go wrong then? Where does it go wrong for you?
If you're, I will give a lot of gray area, but I think there's something inherently wrong if you're singing the song called "Fuck the Police" while the police are doing your security, and then you're all happy with the cops after. You're giving them fist bumps on your way off the stage. I think there's something wrong with that. Yeah.
I mean, if the police are also saying "fuck the police,"
yeah, it's just like a fun jam anthem to these new cops with one arm tattooed, drinking Monsters. You know the type of cop I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That want to be like, oh, hey, buddy, where'd you get those tattoos? Check out I like energy drinks too, bud. Like that type of cop.
I think I like energy drinks too, bud. I think, like I said, I understand where you're coming from. I think I understand the perspective you're coming from, but I don't think it's the only perspective.
No, but it's just,
and I think that you don't feel that way. I think you feel like it's the only correct perspective.
Yes. And I think as a general thing, that's like...
You do that with a lot of things, though.
Yeah, dude. That's why I'm so fucking angry and alone in the world.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Because I don't understand... I can't tell, like, to what degree of mental illness has separated me from people, or how much I just genuinely despise everything and everyone. Because there's no fucking way, like, our world is the way it is, and I can see any reason to hold the belief that things are good or worthwhile, or just to find things to believe in. And I think that's why I've always embraced people who also don't give a shit and end up dead, because there's just, I don't know. There's no one believes in anything. Like, I'm inherently attracted to people that believe in anything, because it's so fucking rare, because everything's just these little trades, right? Like, even now I'm working a job I hate, and previously that's something I couldn't do, right? So I'm like at odds with myself constantly, because I'm choosing less suffering in exchange for doing things I don't believe in. And that's infuriating.
Let me ask you a question, and we can cut this and not get into it, because I feel like it could be really deep.
No, give it. Let it. We're doing it live.
Do you? Let me phrase it this way: how much trouble do you have being comfortable, being happy?
I'm not sure, because chemically, if you give me things that make me feel happy, I have absolutely no trouble feeling happiness. If I'm,
but what I'm saying is, I feel like you're uncomfortable when you're happy.
I don't think so. I feel like that's, honestly, I feel like that's like a line you could give to anyone who spends a lot of time unhappy. But I think there's a lot of people who have legitimate reasons for being unhappy too, that if those reasons weren't there, it would be easier to be unhappy. Like, for example, I'm at least 10 times happier than I used to be, and I've enjoyed feeling happier and having more moments of peace. But there's still like monumental things that I don't want to feel comfortable being happy if those things are there.
Okay,
and when
that's fair. I think you're right. That could be kind of thrown at anybody. I think the main reason I ask is I feel like generally you tend to go to extremes, and we've talked about that before. Of like it's either this or it's that. And we've talked about gray areas before, but there are a lot of things I feel like that you put your flag down and you say, this is the hill I die on. And I feel like that's and not wading into the gray area of things is keeping you from finding like a peace with something. And I mean, like, that's at least like just from my perspective of like, that's where I can find peace. It's settling to a degree, but it's, you know, when it's for you, I feel like you would usually choose frustration and anger.
That's true. Honestly, if you weren't the person saying it, I couldn't hear this. I can hear it from you. Like, I understand what you mean. But and this seems like so like a clearly sick type thought, but I don't understand what's there to be so happy about. Like, inherently, I would rather be unhappy for the right reasons than be happy for the wrong reasons. And I feel like I'm constantly around. I mean, not really anymore, but I feel like in general we're put in these worlds around people who have no right being the happiness that they are. Like, I don't see value in inherently being happy. Being at peace, I can associate with that more. And I feel like for a very angry person, I'm at a much higher level of peace than...
You're at peace with being angry.
Or I'm at peace for being angry more than I'm seeing other people who are as angry as I am be at peace. Because everyone else dies, right? Or gets themselves into trouble. I feel like for being... the percentage of peace that I have is like pretty exceptional for where I'm at. Or how I feel.
That's very fair. That's, yeah. I feel like you asked the question, you know, what is there to be happy about? And the answer I would give you is the best part about that is you get to pick the things to be happy about.
That's a nice line or like point of view.
I think that's the main thing I like about the whole dirtball theory feeling thing. It's like, if nothing matters and everything is inconsequential, the things that you choose to spend your energy on and get up and be upset about or be happy about or, you know, feel emotion towards it all, those things matter to you. And that's all that matters, is that it matters to you. So when I talk about like just the small interaction things where, you know, someone says something funny and you both have a laugh and it's whatever. It's just a passing thing. You're not going to even think about that person the next day. Not going to remember what the fuck they said. It doesn't matter. You had a nice casual interaction with a person. Those things can make you happy, or they make me happy because it's, I don't know. It's unnecessary. It doesn't mean anything, but it happened. It's not going to change anything, but in just that split moment of like, there's a bond or there's something that, like, that's something that makes me happy, or like the little, I don't know. I think that's also why it's easier for me to wade into the gray area stuff. And like, you know, it's not like, yeah, I feel this way, but let's venture this out. Let's hear this out for a minute, because it's like, it's something that it's either I don't care about enough to put that, you know, hold into, so it doesn't affect me strongly enough for it to matter. I guess I'm like piecing this together. I don't have anything, like, I've never really put this into words before, so I don't really know.
I'm sorry. I think it's good to figure things out as you're saying them in this way, but say it again.
The idea that with, you know, if the dirt ball, we're all just a big fucking dirt ball and we're mold growing on it, whatever, then everything's inconsequential unless you care about it. But the things that are, you know, like getting upset or being frustrated by the idea of, you know, the fuck the police and the NWA has been having police as security guards and whatever. Like, it doesn't bother me because I just don't care. I think for the most part, like that's not a thing that like, so it's like, it doesn't make me happy. It doesn't make me angry. It's like, so I can see where if you do care about it, if that's something that does stick in your head and like, yeah, they can see where you can get upset about it, but like, it just doesn't faze me in that way. So it's easier for me to put it into my own perspective of,
that's a different flavor of apathy because I don't give a fuck either. Like I am attracted to people who are very passionate that care about things because on the general, I don't give a fuck about anything. So it's like I have to like work to care. Where like if I choose to think about that, I can get super fired up and angry. But if I'm like reading a news story or like see a little blurb about that or I'm at that show, I don't think I'm not. My mind isn't going to it unless I'm choosing to. Mm-hmm. Where it's not a good example. It's just like evidence boxes. Like our whole life is full of reasons for us to either care or not care as a general thing, right? And all the things that make me not care, like get the little tally mark. On their own, I don't like count every tally mark or write down why it made me angry. It's that they become collectives, right? Mm-hmm. It's that if I choose to explore, like, why did that make me so angry? I can find a lot of ammo because for 30 years I've been building a private army worth of supplies for myself, right?
Yeah.
But on its own, like, I don't give a fuck if some washed out old rappers sing a song and people enjoy it. I don't actually care. And if I choose to like feel that anger, I can get there, but on its own, it's not moving the needle either.
I do want to point out, while we're talking about this example, that I do get the viewpoint of if the message isn't being understood of like what they're talking about because of that, like if they're
destroying their honor, their legacy, right?
I mean,
like
I think if you single out that occasion and then maybe
we're going to tour all over the world and yell to authorities that we're saying fuck them, and we're going to make a bunch of money, and we're going to yell at all the governments and polices across the world that fuck them, they're bad. We're going to take our jets and go to these places. Like, yeah, it's just like a great reason of like why life is stupid.
It is. And I feel like there's definitely a part where the message is probably going to be heard differently from people that were alive when the song came out.
Sure.
And like, or grew up hearing it kind of thing, like before that happened, like that message is going to be heard and felt differently than people now, than like, the younger generation that might hear that and think, their first hearing of it is from a YouTube video from that concert, and they see the cops jamming along to it, and they're like, well, fuck this. This is like a parody, or what is it, satire? Like what?
Yeah.
Exactly. So I can see that being a thing, but I feel like it doesn't take away specifically from the song itself outside of that.
Well, to a certain degree, art is always like timeless, and like listening to that song can, I don't know, surpass all the things that sully its reputation to some extent. But it sucks when artists do that, I think, as a general point. I want to go back to like wanting happiness in general, right? All right, there's like there's animals. There's some animals that are like neutral, right? Like we got let's say like a dog and a cat, right? Those are neutral. Okay, hear me out.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got dopey animals, right? You got dodo birds, platypuses, little sea otters, things that are like whimsical, cute, kind of weird. You often see them as happy or like ignorantly blissful, right? And then you have animals that are like super serious, right? Like tigers or I don't know, bears, wolves, right? Wolves are so fucking serious, they get cool, cheesy shirts, right? And then you have like things in the in-between, right? Like you get like hyenas that are like serious, but they're laughing. They're getting their jokes in when they can, right? I've always liked the hyena because you get the jokes in when you can. But I feel like when you have to be a serious animal, I don't feel like there's room for much happiness. Like I feel like if you gave that hyena as much fucking dead elephant carcass as they could eat, they're going to be laughing a lot more, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like if you're focused, and I think this is like the plague of like anyone not in like a higher money bracket, right? If your focus is on survival and you're in places where like being too weak, being too happy, like moving wrong in the wrong way can get you fucked up. Or like if you have a fucked up brain that's going to tell you to like do things that are going to kill you and you just have to be really serious, I feel like there's just really limited room to like be like a dodo bird. Like I would love to be doing sea otter flips.
Right. Wouldn't we all?
That's what I feel like
cracking oysters on our tum-tums.
I think a lot of times people, like homeless people, desolate people, like the general poor people, or like mentally ill people, addicts and I feel like there's like a massive kind of like misunderstanding in the sense like they're either like not doing enough or like the focus is on the negative too much, and there's like always room for that to be better. But when your world like focuses around survival, animal level, garbage level of humanity instinct, I feel like you have to adapt a lot of that, or you just are like, you're fucked.
Yeah, there are obviously less things to find happiness in.
There's less tasty snacks laying around.
Right, when your life is survival.
And I'm out of the desolate survival. Like I'm okay, but there's part of me that's always like working against myself, and I don't have enough means to be able to rest. So it's like happiness is of little value to me right now because it doesn't help me. You get like some stress relief and like things are better for a little bit longer, but that's not material enough to offer me real value. Like if
the happiness comes in short-lived bursts rather than
you get the chuckles when you can. You try to enjoy the people you care about when you can, but
yeah.
I don't.
The general sense of, is my life a happy life? That's a much different question than, can I seize moments of happiness?
And even that, I feel like, is irrelevant to me in the sense I would rather do something of value than have felt good while I was here. I didn't used to feel that way, but I definitely feel that now. I'd be very much okay with the trade-off of living an unhappy life if I did something important to myself.
That's fair. I feel like I've struggled going back and forth with that, where I feel like sometimes I'll get too deep mentally in the state of it doesn't matter if I'm suffering or if I'm like fucking exhausted and depressed and whatever. It doesn't matter as long as what I'm doing makes life a little bit easier for the people around me, at least. Like, if that's even like the smallest outreach that I can make is like just to, like, doesn't even have to be like a world lasting thing, but
well, you really care about your family. Like
I do. The people closest to me. I mean, like, that's, what else do we have, right?
I agree with you fundamentally, but I definitely don't feel it the same way you do, and I see how, like, in your life it plays a much bigger role. Like,
it certainly does. I feel like the people that I spend my time with more often are people that I'm able to commiserate with about the same, like, the same issues and the same, like, we work together, we go through the same problems together, so it's a deeper bond and like on a daily basis that I'm with for years at a job kind of thing. But like, I think at least in the last few jobs, I've been able to find friends through that we don't just see each other at work. We actually do hang out outside of work, and we do, talk about more personal shit. And I think that, I mean, I don't know what your communication's like with your coworkers, but
non-existent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which also doesn't sound bad, honestly.
That part's really nice. I mean, my boss once in the last 2 weeks, and I haven't talked to anyone.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds like it could be really cool, but I don't know if I could. I don't even know. I don't think I could handle that. I feel like I would.
I love it.
Fucking lose it. I think it would be cool for a little while, and then I don't know. I might adapt to it, but I like having someone else to share in, like, with this thing that I'm doing, and them understanding what I'm talking about, and like, we can talk shit about this customer that was a fucking idiot, and just something.
Let me. I don't want to steal. Like, initially let me preface when it was your idea for us to spend a little time on this today, and before we recorded, I mentioned I was a bit apprehensive because I get worried of sounding like a broken record, because I feel I kind of try, especially on the pod. I don't know if it comes across this way or not, but I really try not, like, even with you or like Sam, Sarah, like anyone I'm close with, I'm a very open person. I'm always willing to talk, and I probably do more than most average people, but I try not to talk about how I'm feeling too much, because to some extent it's irrelevant, because this is like part of who I am, and it doesn't do good to, like, misery makes company shit all the time, right?
Now, are you just speaking for you personally?
Yeah, for me personally, it's not. I think there's, like, I try to find a good balance with how much to share, because there's no point of, like, every day to, like, text everyone in my phone and be like, I don't want to be here, like,
yeah,
for 20 years straight, like,
group chat, I don't want to be here.
So I try to find some balance with that, and I don't want to take away from anything you want to explore. I did kind of want to ask you, like, do you feel like you're, in general with life, I think you place a pretty high value on solace and being comfortable. Is that fair? Yes, it is. Do you feel like you're relentlessly pursuing things?
Yeah, absolutely, yes. And it's not always, definitely sometimes more than others, but I do have a very strong connection, and you're going to hate this. I have a very strong connection to the song "Working Man" by Rush. The line in it is, "It seems to me I can live my life a lot better than I think I am," and I feel like as I've gotten older, I've noticed that more and more in myself, where it's like, okay, I can find comfort in something. It can find comfort in this, but I gotta work a little harder, make a little money, either buy the thing I want or, get to the level of like paying off the things that I have kind of thing, where it's like, okay, now I'm comfortable. And then it's like, you keep getting to the next, okay, well, what's the next thing comes up, and then it's the next thing and the next thing. And there's always something else. And I do feel like it's a, carrot at the end of a stick kind of a thing, where I do feel like I'm chasing that. And I've noticed that I've been able to turn it off more in the last couple of years. I've been able to rest more and actually find that comfort. And a lot of it had to do with the fact that this current job is so seasonal. So in the wintertime, sometimes I just work 4-day weeks.
And it forces you to turn off.
Yeah, and they're like 6-hour days sometimes, and it's like it's nothing. So like I'm making a lot less money in the wintertime, but
I gotta push it. I gotta push
time.
it. That's like the cliche, right, of the rat race, right? It's
right,
like
exactly.
Try not to get pulled into that. When I'm more inquiring, I know we've talked about this before. Do you dream about like something much more than having the nice things or like being comfortable? Like, is there anything like pulling you?
'Cause not really. I feel like I had that a lot more when I was young. I feel like I had more ambition of like, oh, I'm going to start my own business and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And it's like, if I hadn't found this job, I would probably still feel that way.
But
because I was like on the fence I don't think I do. I never really wanted it, but it just seemed like the better alternative than working for someone else.
What I'm getting at is like a bigger question. Like when I talk to anyone except my little brother has a big streak of this in him, and I think me and him feel it different ways, but really pretty much anyone else, I don't see it in the same way. Like full God mode. I want to be like the I forget who it was. Was it Alexander weeping when there's no more worlds to conquer?
Yeah.
For me, it kind of manifests as art or like creative things, but I want something bigger than what I could ever have. And like a lot of people, that's God, like whatever the fuck that is. But it feels like there's something missing, and I have to relentlessly pursue it. And I don't understand. I don't understand how people could wake up every day if their goal is like to have a good day or like to be a little bit more comfortable. Like, I don't understand what's driving people. I don't understand not having like a need, like an existential larger need that you feel like even though you may very well never get anywhere near it. I can't understand like the dirt ball, like we're just on this dirt and it's a beautiful moment in time. I don't get that. That's terrible.
I'm glad you said that, because what I was going to say was I want to bring that back to what I said earlier, where you get to choose the things that make you happy or the things that you find the happiness in. And I feel like I don't have that ambition for what I would call like the world is not enough kind of thing, where like I feel like the things that I am ambitious for is being able to comfortably, going back to that, being able to comfortably spend time with the people I care about and making sure they're comfortable. And like, that's the thing that drives my ambition. And it's as much smaller, and I think because it feels more achievable too. I think that's also what helps it. Like, it might be smaller, but because it feels more achievable, then, something that the world doesn't, or something that you can't have, something that the world isn't able to offer you. Because it feels that way, it's a lot more incentivizing. And I feel like I never had the supervillain need to have it all, I guess. Maybe when I was like teenage, angsty, younger, but like, it's not.
But you know me, I don't give a fuck about I don't give a fuck what color my walls are. Like, it's more I want something I could never have. Like, I love you. You're a brother to me.
I love you too, Steven.
And you balance me in a lot of ways. But hearing you say, like, you don't feel that pull is like so upsetting to me. And I'm not saying that as a judgment in any way, but as like a emotional reaction to that is, it feels upsetting to me that other people don't feel that. Because I don't understand, like, it's so hard for me to find value in existence as is. And I feel like, I don't know, not having like a stronger pool, just I don't see how anything would matter.
And see, hearing you say that upsets me. I do understand it. I understand how it's hard to find value in just existing and living, but I definitely get that. But
doesn't it feel like we're supposed to, like, when you take like a new drug or like a psychedelic, or like you have a new experience, like the first
eat too much of a weed cookie.
Yeah, the first couple times, like falling in love or like figuring something out in a notepad at the bar, like those moments where it's like there's something deeper, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of people feel that when they join a new church or whatever. Like, I don't know what that is, except like chemical changes in our brain, but it feels like there is supposed to be something deeper, or that we're meant to feel like there is. And I don't know if there is. I don't really give a fuck of like that in a spiritual sense, but in the sense of like emotionally, I feel the need to find that through some means, or else things are empty. And that's like a classic like addict thing. There, the world is never enough. You'll never find, one drink's, whatever, a million is never enough, whatever. But there's like something more to be found or like pursued. Even if it's never found, there's like something more to be fought for or defined.
Sorry, let me look up this quote real quick.
Like if I could like enlist in a imaginary army and storm imaginary D-Day, Normandy shit, like storm the beaches, and I knew at the top of the fucking beach was like the thing I desired most, I not having the name for it, I would like always choose to like take that uphill fight, because I feel like there's something else we need to validate existing.
Hearing you say that made me think of something I just heard the other day for the first time, and it stuck with me. It's an idiom, and it's enough is as good as a feast. And the idea is that the way I think about those stronger emotions, where it's like there's something deeper kind of things, it's like you get there, and it's not like I think love's a good example because it's like when you're really in love, like it you go in deep to it and it feels like there's like this new world unlocked to you and you can, stay in it. You can be in it for a very long time, but it evolves and changes as well. And you adapt it into, like you're still living in the same world. And I don't want to use the word fleeting because that makes it, that has, I feel like, a negative connotation when you're talking about love. But I feel like, it wanes and grows and changes. And I feel like that deeper meaning, that deeper context to life or something, I feel like, and I can't confirm this because I can't read your mind and feel your emotions until you make that drug that you're talking about. But I feel like I get that in small doses from a wider variety of things rather than seeking it in a large quantity from one thing. And I think that's just the way my brain operates. I don't think that's realistic. That's not something I seek out to do.
I understand. And I get some of that through I feel like the most comparable thing is like oxytocin or serotonin or whatever.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
But realistically, how many things a week give you any true feast of that? How many times a week are you interacting?
It doesn't need to be a feast. It's enough.
Well, that was what I was referring to. Is how many times a week do you get enough of that where you're like, this validates existing? Realistically, like how many times a week are you spending with another person that you feel that, or you did a thing that made you feel that, or you experience it? Because I
mean, more than once a day.
And that's enough.
Yeah. I don't have an official counter for you.
To me, that just feels so fucking hollow. Like to me, there's always more loves to be had. There's always more feasts to eat. There's always
and there'll be more the next day.
One a day is not enough.
I said more than one a day.
Yeah,
and it's like I can't say it's
Isn't that boring?
No, I don't think my life's boring at all.
I feel like mine is.
I mean, I don't think it's, write a movie about it, but I enjoy it. It's I'm living more closely to how I want to and than how, I don't know, than how I ever used to. I think my life is more exciting and more at least more interesting now that I have time to be who I am rather than only work. That built so much of my life for such a long time where like I didn't spend time with family unless it was like my one day off and I was exhausted and, I'd have a couple beers and then be asleep, by fucking 8:30 because I can't stay up any later than that because I'm exhausted. And like the time spent wasn't really good time spent.
But it's still such a small percentage of our time. It's still like,
yeah.
I feel like I'm living farther away. But it's all that we
have.
To me, that's never going to be enough. And I understand that's a difference between us. But I think what I'm trying to communicate to some extent is it's upsetting to me that things are enough for everyone else because I don't feel that. And it bothers me that other people are okay with what we have because I feel like we all deserve more.
Do you think in part of that do you feel like slighted by the fact that everyone else can
you're all assholes. That comfort? You're all assholes. Fuck you guys. Like why like I have to be unhappy. What are you guys all happy about? I have to be unhappy for all you. Oh my god. Truly, I mean, I recognize that's not like the best reaction and I'm not like but there's an element of truth to that. Yeah.
And I think that's the more important thing, is that if you're being honest about it, then...
Yeah, there's an element of truth to that, because I don't understand how everybody else is okay with that, because it seems to me...
Well, I don't think everyone else is.
Well,
I would agree that probably a majority of people, or at least, but I think there's a lot of people that may feel that, may think that they do, but they do need to seek something like church or something like that can...
But it feels pathetic for it to be enough. And I mean that for myself too, because I feel like in many ways I'm living farther away from what that truth would be. Mm-hmm. But I feel like we are like incredibly powerful beings full of massive world-changing potential. And meanwhile, we're like sedated with a couple hits of happiness a day or a week or whatever. And I'm not saying that like in the sense that other people aren't doing enough. I feel it with myself. And I wish other people felt the same, but I wish there was a higher pursuit, because I feel like it is unsatisfactory to validating existence to exist the way we are.
I would argue that back. I want to say that I feel like we appear to be these super powerful beings, but we're jelly sacks that...
Don't we get to choose that? Isn't that, I mean, that's the ideal of Satanism, of a lot of atheist theory.
Is that we choose to be jelly sacks?
No, we can be as powerful as we want to be. We can be our own God
for sure. But I feel
I don't
like...
want to choose to be fragile. Even if I recognize, like, inherently part of being human is having that. I don't ever want to validate that part of existence.
Now, here's something. If you don't want to be fragile, yet you are, is that not a delusion in itself? You don't want to feel that way, and you shouldn't have to feel that way.
I felt that way.
You shouldn't have to feel fragile. It doesn't mean that you aren't, though.
When I was using, I felt that way in a lot of ways. I felt immortal, cursed to live, invulnerable to damage and pain. Right?
Some real anime protagonist shit.
Absolutely. But I was far more vulnerable and fragile than I knew I was, and definitely than I am now. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think at that...
And you should bask in that. You should be proud of that. You should be allowed to be proud of that.
I understand what you mean, but I have mixed feelings. But I think at that time, it was very delusional, right? To not accept the level of like realistic vulnerabilities I had, right?
Right.
But as a general ideal, I don't think we should think we're like incorruptible, incapable of wrong, incapable of being damaged. But I think embracing that we're fragile beings in a temporary world is like really bad. Like I think we get to choose not to be that. I don't want to be that.
No. And I get where you're coming from, and I think that viewpoint works for me. I feel like you could be the toughest, the strongest, most immovable object on the planet, but you're the strongest of the jelly sacks. You're the strongest of the meat bags. And it's you're still going to live out your 100 years if that, and then die, and then time's going to move on, and then everything turns to dust. So what's more important than that is what's more important than that is the way that you feel.
Yeah, I don't want to exist through that lens. Like I could feel being the most powerful being, and I still know it's pointless, or that there's, regardless of what power level it is, like it's temporary. Mm-hmm. But I don't ever want to have to exist through the lens of fragility, of temporariness. I don't want to feel that way. I see how like that lens reframed different classes is like could be empowering, but I don't think that's true. I don't think there's any way to like reframe that to be like, hey, we're relatively weak creatures that live for a little bit of time, and because of that, I am free to do things and make mistakes and enjoy the time I have, and then it's gone. And that is like true freedom of will, and that's it. That sounds so terrible to me.
I don't know if I'd say it's true freedom of will, but other than that, that's exactly how...
Well, if it's not true freedom, it's determinism, and that's even more infantile.
I don't think it has to be a true will or determinism.
Right, there's the mix.
Yeah, right. It's just, it is what it is. And like, I don't know what it is, and I can't
That's upsetting.
I can't prove that it is or is not a certain way, and I'm okay with that.
I'm just not okay with it.
Yeah, and I think that's, I'm
not okay with what existing is. And it bothers me more people don't feel that.
I mean, it definitely is something that I like to question and think about. But if the point is that if you can't come to a resolute answer that's always applicable, then, it's not worth worrying about, I guess, to me.
I do understand. I feel like my headphones are low volume. I feel like I've been like screaming for an hour.
No, you haven't been. Okay. You haven't been.
That makes sense. I can't emotionally identify with that.
That's fair. Yeah. I get that. I just, I think it was interesting how you're like, I can't understand how people can feel this way. And it was like, you just described exactly how I feel. It's just, it's all fucking, whatever. It's not even in the idea where it is it's all a hologram or something. And someone's playing with us, how they play with The Sims. It's like, whatever. I'm not in on the game.
See, but I want to revolt and kill the player manipulating us.
Yeah. And that's ambitious. And I'm just trying to make the best of the situation I'm in.
But I want to bring you with me. I want like
listen. You find the red pill, and you find both the pills, and we'll take them both, and we'll we'll go kill them. We'll go kill Neo.
I feel bad for Sarah a lot of times because I think sometimes it probably feels like I'm on her for like not wanting to do enough, and then so many we always joke she's like a pretty butterfly, just like, floating through the wind, like from thing to thing. And she's happy that way. And
yeah,
I'm jealous of that and attracted to that in her. But I'm probably like a harsh and difficult person to be with a lot because I want everyone else to like feel slighted also, and to feel like they want more, even if I can't tell them what it is or what it is for myself. I want other people to want that because I'm like infuriated. Like my existence, the only thing I can use to validate my existence is wanting to know and pursue that, because everything else is like it kill. Like I feel like a child, like a kid, a like young kid being forced to go to a fucking factory every day to go to work. Like it's so, it makes me feel like so immature, but it's also like, I don't understand how as adults, like we all got on the same page to do this like monkey bullshit. And I'm the fucked up one for like feeling like this isn't right or that something's wrong.
That might be a huge factor in my worldview as well. As I enjoy my work, and like it has its moments where it's extremely tough and demanding, and the times when I'm like, oh man, a regular jack off job sounds good right now. But for the most part, like I've considered leaving. I'd put out the applications. I've showed up for the job interviews, and I still ended up turning, when I was approached with like, oh, we could offer you this, I was like, I ended up taking a kitchen job again because I enjoy the work so much. And it really is a part of, I think it is a huge part of why I feel the way I do about life, is because I get to clock into a job that I don't hate. And that's huge.
I'm envious of that to an extent, and I've felt brief flashes of that before. I've done jobs where, like, for a moment, it's like, this felt good. Like, I did something. It might not have meant anything, but I did it, and it felt okay today. Like, I know what you mean, but it always feels better to clock out than it does in, and I don't understand. Like, I know that's, like, a good piece of solace, but I still feel like there's more, and it's upsetting.
Let me say this.
Be that way.
I want to. It's not. I don't feel like it feels better to clock out than to clock in. It feels different.
I can't.
For me, at least.
No.
Let me explain. Let me explain. When I clock in, when I'm showing up to do the thing, sure, there's mornings where I'm like, I'm fucking tired, and I'm expecting like, okay, we're going to get fucking slammed today, we're going to get rushed, or we're going to, whatever. But then, like, once I'm awake enough, I guess, I feel more like it's exciting. And those moments of serotonin I get, those like multiple a day, is from this job in particular. Is cool because when I make something, and then like I'm also handing it to the customer, and like they're also happy to be getting their thing, and like there's a good exchange of, I just made this person's day kind of thing, or I just gave them something, and like the smile that they have, or how excited they are to come back, and they're a regular or whatever. Like those are interactions, like I look forward to those, and those give me Sarah, just that feeling, make me happy. Yeah. And then by the end of the day, that happiness clocking out, it's
worthwhile. You've earned it.
Yeah. I've earned it, and I can earn the calm that comes after it. I've earned that happiness. I feel good about the day. I feel good about, the fact that I just made a bunch of money. Like I know, doing something like that. Those are all the things, but it's like it's a different happiness than the excited happiness before.
And I know everyone doesn't feel that, or they might feel it at some places, not at the others. But I feel like a lot of people can understand what that is, even if they don't feel it. But I don't know, man. I'm split. I think a lot of people don't feel that, and I can't understand that feeling at all. I've never felt any of that in anything I've ever done. Ever.
And that's sad to me. I want you to. I can't
understand. Like, I don't understand how, unless I'm choosing to do what I want to do on my own time, in my own way, pursuing what I want to, being told, like, we have such a brief time on this strange place, and I'm doing things not out of choice, but out of necessity, or I'm ordered to, or that I have to by pressure of one means or another, robs me of anything that is remotely satisfying. Like, I will get through it. I will try to enjoy the parts I can, but there is not enough of whatever that feeling is to make any of that at all appealing to me. I mean, obviously, I'm mature enough to have made it this long. Like, I'll do what I have to do to get by, and like to get to the times that will fulfill me enough to get by. But it still feels really wrong, and I do think a lot of other people. I get confused sometimes because I think there are things about me that are off, but I think a lot of people also understand that a bit.
I can understand that too. I mean,
there's a lot of unhappy people.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, like even one of my good friends that I've been trying to get her to quit her job and come work with us full time. She worked with us occasionally, but it's like her full time job makes her miserable, like in tears, miserable.
Yeah,
and it's like, why? Like the money's not that different.
She feels like she has to for one reason or another.
Yeah, exactly, and
she might be right.
And part of it's like, benefits and stuff like that. Like I get it.
It's a good reason.
But even if it's like, hey, come work with us for the summer until you find a new place.
But dude, like, it's I'm not saying she shouldn't do that, but it's such a risk. Like,
yeah, and I agree. I absolutely agree. It is, and I recognize what I'm asking, but like, it's so hard to see them so miserable. And they've even said like they're way happier when they work with us, and they're way happier, doing what they're doing. And the day feels like it goes by faster, and it's easier, and it's more fun.
But who pays their hospital bills? Who takes,
yeah,
And I'm saying that knowing you could be the exception. Like, you do care about people. You probably would help out someone you're close if it would turn out to be a bad move and they were struggling. But
right, exactly.
Most of the time, most people, like, we're landlocked in the sense that to like take risk like that make us so fucking vulnerable. And I'm feeling that a lot myself, because something's going to change one way or another with my situation in the next year or two. But it's really hard to know how or when or how to go about that, because it puts you at such a risk.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I from that perspective, I can absolutely see where, my worldview isn't right for everyone, and I recognize that. I mean, I knew that going in beforehand. I knew when I started thinking about it in the first place, when I was kind of fleshing out the idea of, like, we're all just dust and nothing matters, and there's no proof of a God, so why should we believe in one? And, and what does anything actually mean? That kind of shit. Like, when I started proposing that idea to people, they're like, well, how do you find any reason to live? Like, what do you mean? Like, how can you possibly live that way? And I didn't really have an answer besides, like, it just makes me feel right. It makes me feel like,
Toasty.
More, a little more free in my own skin, I guess. That, like,
I can understand that if you were like living very recklessly or like pursuing something without abandon, but for it to be like this chaotic chemical reaction, weird place and time, temporary unstableness, I feel like to try to find calmness and peacefulness and to like be a part of that for a moment, it seems like a lot of like leftover potential of what you could do in that in that weird space.
I mean, I would argue that you do have to be tough to find that.
Yeah.
You have to be able to roll with the punches and just, like,
but if you start
getting, like, you're exhausted and beat down and, the end of your Friday night and somebody spills a big, the deep fryer all over the fucking floor, and it's like, we got to clean that up. And,
let me frame it this way.
Yeah.
You're on this rock, right? Let's say you're the only person on it, right? Mm-hmm. Just for introspection. You're on your own little rock floating through the galaxy, right? And you're going to be here for a while, but at some point, this rocket's slowly chipping away into little golden flakes in the sun, flying off into space. Wouldn't you rather carve that rock, sculpt it into something really beautiful that will last at least for a while, than to than to make like a really comfortable home that's temporary. Do you understand what I mean? I'm not saying that that's right, but do you get what I'm...
Well, I mean, it's all temporary though, right?
Yes, but I feel like one thing's inherently more
temporary.
valuable than the other.
I feel like, I mean, regardless of what you build, it is your home. And coming to terms with that, you're what's the Joe Dirt line? Home is what you make it.
Do you feel like maybe it is like a super ignorant error on my end, but I feel like doing something, I feel like making something or doing something beautiful with our time is inherently more valuable than not. And I understand the counter would be that a simple, beautiful, peaceful life could be what is thought of as that beauty.
I was going to say, yeah, the beauty's in the eye of the beholder.
I feel like beauty is not in the eye of the beholder. It's in the eyes of others.
Well, that's on you to talk to your therapist about.
In the sense that
I feel like
if I do something beautiful with my life that no one else can see, then there was probably something messed up with what I'm seeing. And not in the sense I should value what others think, but if it was beautiful enough, they would have to admire it.
And my point would be, I'm dead, so it doesn't matter if they admire it or not.
And I
as long as I admire it. That's my perspective on that. I will say, when you first introduced the idea of a ball and I'm the only person on it, the first thing I did think of is I'm going to find all the rocks I can and stack them up as high as I can.
That like, would be exactly what I mean, though.
But that's for me. That's for me to enjoy. It's not because I want to. I want people to see this and memorialize it. It's just because it would be a fun thing to do.
But I feel like that would be the equivalent of like doing something super beautiful with your life, right? Where
I mean, I can see that, but I think still the main argument that I want to hang on is it's not. I'm doing it. If I'm doing it, I'm doing it because I want to do it for me.
Sure, I agree. Yeah. I want to do things for myself. Let's take it outside. I'm just trying to understand like what I think of is like factual validity in a beautiful existence, right? I'm separate from ourselves. If you have, all right, we got two pizza makers. Right? Mm-hmm. Let's make them raccoons. We got two ratatouilles, right? They both make pizza. They're raccoons. They're really good at kneading pizza.
Ratatouilles?
Yes, right? Everything, everywhere, all at once, but they...
Yeah.
All right, we got two raccoons that are both really good at making pizzas. They light their dumpster on fire every morning, and they knead the dough, and they bake the pizza over the garbage can every day, right? Mm-hmm. One raccoon turns that into his business. He makes beautiful little artesian pizzas, and he feeds the whole neighborhood, and people appreciate him. He's a raccoon of character in the neighborhood, and has a small little family, couple little cubs, and has a nice comfy home, and lives and dies a simple but like lovely life, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then the other raccoon, this is gonna be hard to. The other raccoon goes Papa John style, builds
full capitalist,
full pizza empire, and then they realize that's not enough, and then they discover an uncharted new trash island one of those trash islands floating.
Yeah.
They discover a new trash island, and they explore there. The first raccoon to ever cross the Pacific, right? And on that trash island, they build a new little raccoon utopia that exists for hundreds of years, and people do all these great things at this whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
While I would never say there's anything wrong with the first raccoon, I cannot help emotionally feel like the second raccoon did something more beautiful. Does that make sense? Because I'm not saying it's right, but that's how I feel.
But that's a matter of opinion.
It is, but I feel like it's not.
That's for you and your therapist to talk about.
But I don't understand, why don't other people feel that way?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
Why don't you feel that way?
I also I don't know. I couldn't tell you. That's just
Nobody
don't
can
feel
tell
that way.
me.
Yeah, because I'm explaining an opinion. It's like I just prefer you explain to me why you don't feel the way I do.
Because they tried to do something that they felt hadn't been done before, or they followed a path that was unsure. And they were just trying to pursue something.
Yeah, and that's fair, but that doesn't explain to me why. What I'm asking you to do is something that's not really possible. I mean, you can tell me the reason that you feel this way.
Because they weren't doing what everyone else has done a million times over.
Yeah,
that's why it feels more important. It's novel. It's different. It's not the simple previously explored path. If I go to the most dangerous woods in the universe, and there's two paths, and one has been run over a million times by everyone who visits here because we all know it's safe, and one path is very hazardous and goes into the darkness, I feel like the person who goes through the darkness did something more valuable.
Now, the question I would ask is, to the people who, so not as an outsider saying the person that did that,
sure.
I'm saying put yourself in the shoes of the people who decided to go, I'm going to go on the well-traveled path. And, obviously it's worn for a reason. It's worn because I'm sure it's safer. It's safer because it's worn.
Mm-hmm.
And there are probably, this is the way to the things that I
X, Y,
presumably
and Z.
came here to see, whatever. For those people, they most likely don't feel like they were robbed of an experience if they got what they came for.
I agree. But my point...
And what I'm saying is, it's not less beautiful to live that way.
It might not be, but I feel like from a third-party, God mode, objective experience, I feel like there is one that is inherently more valuable than the other.
Do you have a God complex?
Well, we're talking about this in the sense of like, if all things were possible, right?
Right. Yeah.
Of course. I mean, I'm sure I do. I want infinite power. I want to do things that are unhuman, to be Ubermensch, I mean, don't we all?
No. You
just want to live and die.
No, it doesn't have to be A or B. It doesn't have to be, you're either weak and cold and afraid or you're God. It doesn't have to be one or two.
I mean, to be like none of us can have. What exactly is the definition of God? What is the complex part?
I thought that God complex, the way I understood it is that like you
I thought it's
have
like
a feeling that you are.
I'm pretty sure God complex is like you want to be other people's gods.
Yeah.
I don't want that.
A God complex, a conviction that one is infallible, merits special attention and privileges not enjoyed by other people, and can achieve anything one wants.
No, then definitely not. What I feel is I want us all to be like a complicated God. I was going to try to I want us all to feel like we deserve that. Because, I mean, I think in a lot of ways, I have a lot of like, I don't think I'm bad at it. I don't think I'm good or bad. I think I'm like okay. Like I've done okay. There's a lot of things I've done really good, and then there's a lot of things I've really sucked at, and I don't think I'm like particularly special. But I feel like I deserve more, and I feel like other people do too. And I wish we all were able to have that. I wish we all like were able to go through those woods and find something that validated the suffering of existence. Because
let me tell you something that this might make you mad. This might be infuriating for you to hear. I do somewhat feel like the thing that I liked about Satanism, the thing that first I latched onto like from reading it, the thing that stuck with me, and probably the only thing I still hold from that is the idea that, you are your own God.
Yeah.
And I liked that so much. And I generally do feel that way. That's, I feel like probably more ironically than in truth, but I feel like I use that as motivation sometimes of like.
But what is a non-ambitious God?
Well, here's my point is what that means to me then is, let me think of the way I want to say this. What that means to me is that these things that I do feel like I am more powerful. I feel like I am stronger than the people around me. And I feel like a lot of something that stuck with me, another thing that stuck with me was when I first not just learned, but when I actually understood the idea that when you let yourself be controlled or by other people's words and emotions, then you can be controlled and manipulated by anything. And further, that you can't control what other people do, but you can control how you react to them.
Yeah.
And I feel like in that sense, if you apply that everywhere in your life, like that is, it feels to me like ascending a little bit. It feels like when you kind of come to understand that like, okay, shit's just happening all around you and you can't you can probably prevent, if you see something ahead of time and you have time, but shit's going to happen and you're not going to be able to stop it. What you can do at that point is control the way that what you do after that fact, how you go forward with it. And I feel like that knowledge of understanding that, even if it's, the smallest things to the larger things, I feel like that's control over yourself and your path and your, I had a way I was going to tie that back to the beauty of life thing, but it's not. I lost that bit of it when I was trying to think of the proper way to explain it.
I understand what you mean. I think it's not enough.
Yeah, I feel like for me that is enough. That's more than enough for me. To have control over myself in a world while it looks like everything else, falls in and out of control. That's more than enough to at least be able to control yourself.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if there's just some people that feel like they need more than others, or if this is like a me thing, or if part of me feels like I know part of it's me, but I also wish others wanted more too. And in a way, it's like wanting a curse for others, because I don't think there's necessarily an answer. I just can't imagine that ever being enough, and I wish others felt that need too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you were born to be a Bond villain, and it just never came to pass.
One of these days.
One of these days, you'll make your big laser and
I'll kill a
capture
British
the
spy.
secret agent. Yeah. Well, you'll almost kill him. You'll put him in the trap, and then you'll leave the room.
Because I was petting my cat too long.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, what's the takeaway? I think I'm done talking for a week. What about you?
That's fair. I think the takeaway is everyone's different, and the world's full of chaos, and
It's a weird, strange place.
Yeah, good fucking luck out there.
Yeah.
I do want to bring back a bit. This is a segment I say it last time as Great American Poet or Taylor Allison Swift. I have a passage for you, Stephen.
Oh, no.
That it will never come again is what makes life so sweet. Believing what we don't believe does not exhilarate. That if it be at best, an ablative estate that instigates an appetite precisely opposite.
See, this sucks because I'm getting at this too meta, because I feel like knowing you want to trick me and only use Taylor Swift lyrics. And I think your silence there may be the answer. That is your angle. And now I know you're going to switch it, but despite that clearly sounding more like a poet than Taylor Swift, I think it was indeed Taylor Swift.
It's actually Emily Dickinson.
God damn it. I'm never going to win this rock, paper, scissors.
We're 2 for 2.
You're 2 for 2. I'm 0 at 2. That tricky Taylor Swift.
Oh, I like to think that this bit is me and the entire anybody listening against you.
Well, you guys are whooping me. But one day I'll be God, and I'll change the lyrics to all Taylor Swift songs to prove me right.
just Baker singing Emily Dickinson verse.
That collab was crazy. With the power of AI.
Yeah, fuck, we can do that now.
Yeah.
Somebody get on that.
Weird place. All right, let's get out of here.
Thanks again for listening, everybody. Thank you to Approaching Human for the use of his music. You can find his work on SoundCloud at Approaching-Human.
Thanks, John. Enjoy your Machiavellian pursuits, my brother.
Make sure to check out the show page at Trash Cats Trashcast on Instagram for news and art from the show. Check out Facebook for the memes.
If you're super bored, you can check out my trashy art on Instagram at Skyzix, SKYZICX. Working on a weird one. I just found a new way to steal full-scale, high-resolution photos from Google Arts and Culture.
Ooh, hell yeah.
So I'm getting these paintings that are 50 megabytes. They're like 50 inches by 50 inches. I have a new access to source material. Cutting up some pretty wicked shit right now. So
we need to get a big-ass printer and start making some cash.
I got the printer, and I am considering going back into crime. So, but yeah, new cool stuff on the way, and yeah, we'll see you guys next week.
That's going to be all for us today. Stay classy, eat trashy.
Go fast, eat trash.